ask the mayor if you'll join us. Sure. Lead us in an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow with me. Lord, we thank you for the community that we live in. At times we see dark shadows that come over us, and it seems this week has been one of those. Earlier we lost a good friend, a good employee, and a great person. Earl Dorsey passed, and unexpectedly, and we ask that you watch over him as he takes on a new journey in life, and also watch over his family and put your healing hand on them as they get past this. This is also the anniversary of probably the biggest tragedy that Sebrings ever had, when we had an incident at the SunTrust Bank, and we need to remember Deborah, Marisol, Jessica, Anna, and Cynthia in our thoughts and our prayers, especially their families and their co-workers that have suffered through the year and looking for healing ways in any way they can. We ask that you watch over all of us, our community, our citizens, our staff, our council, and just keep us in your eyesight. We ask that all we do in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Kathy, will you call the roll?
Mayor Shoup.
Here.
Carlisle.
I'm here.
Sorry, golly. Ivy.
Here.
Lawrence.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Detman.
Here. If anyone out here has any business you would like to bring before tonight's council meeting, please see Clerk Haley. She'll give you a little piece of paper to fill out. We'll call you up a little bit later in the program. With that, I'll turn this over to the mayor for his report.
We got a few things, and we prayed for Earl and his family, so just keep them in your thoughts. And, he was a big part of the city, and he worked hard at it. So it's part of our life cycle, and you hate to see it come, but he's headed to another world. So we also for the SunTrust victims that we have, there's a dedication on the 1-year anniversary on Thursday at 10:30 at the site. It'll be just a short presentation, basically, with the SunTrust, they're now the Truist Foundation. That'll do that, so don't forget about that. Yesterday, we had Martin Luther King festivities. They had a parade, the biggest turnout we saw in the parade itself in the 6 years that Ada's been putting that together. She did a good job. And thanks to Leonard and Scott and his family and Chief, he even made it that mile of .2 or whatever that was. So we're very proud of him. So for staying up that late or that long, but it was a good deal. They did a good job. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Council members' concerns, comments, liaison reports. Start on my left, Charlie. Mark.
No, sir. As usual, the mayor steals my thunder.
Kurt.
The week before last, I attended the Florida League of Cities Institute for Elected Municipal Officials, which is a mouthful, for either first term elected officials. Very interesting.
Great. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on our consent agenda, we have 4 items. If there's anyone out there that would like to speak on any of those 4 items that you would see on your agenda, please come forward and speak to us.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull D out of the consent agenda because I will have to abstain from voting on that, but I'd like to be able to vote on the rest.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull D, Kathy, Delta.
Yes, sir.
And I'll ask for a motion
I'll make a
for
motion.
items A, B, and C.
I make a motion we accept the consent agenda and pull D.
Second.
We got a motion, we have a second. Kathy, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes. Item D is Resolution 20-02, authorizing a budget amendment number 19, bank parking lot. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-02, authorizing budget amendment number 19.
I'll second that as well.
Okay. And I would just like to say I'll have to abstain from that because I have a financial interest in that bank parking lot.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there further discussion? Anyone from the audience? Kathy, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Abstain?
Stewart.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes. Old business number 9A on your agenda, Curry Street. Mr. Natelick and Adriana Fernandez. Hello, Adriana.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to start with the last meeting when I was here. I feel a little uncomfortable. It's not a secret for everyone that my English is not too good. I have limit on my language and the communication, okay? But in the audience, one guy was talking about sarcastic. And I want to let you all that you know that never was my intention have advantage from the city of Sebring, okay? When I buy this house, I don't know nothing about all this situation, and I want only support and solution. It's only that I'm looking for, okay? No advance from the city of Sebring. I know that it spends money on this project, but I know that it's on all your hand make a solution on this problem that is a couple years ago start. Not when I buy my house. It's something old, you know? And I know as well, and the first document that I received, that the city can use Florida status section is a 170, provide, you know, that you can use, the city can use that for make a solution. Because I see here, and the guy that sent me this document or create this document was Jean Colati.
Jim Galati was the former planning and zoning director for the
Yes,
city.
I think this guy created this document that was the first document that I received when all this started. And if you see on the number 8, it's a potential solution. And I can see that section of the Florida, it's a section 170. So I don't know what is the reason, you know, that this continue. This is the first time that I've been here, you know, and I not see nothing in progress. It's static on the same, you know, step. So please try to help me, try to find a solution. I see on the number 2 that is on your hand that include, you know, all this money on the owner on these properties. I am fine with that. I approve that way because I want to pay for my part on this street. Or if no, I want to make a solution that go be good for the, you know, both part, for me and the city. Because the problem here is not only the street, because I don't need power street for living on the house, but I need the permit for put the utilities and the finally permit for leave the house. You know, if the city no want to spend money on the street, it's fine. I understand that part, but please bring me the permit for leaving the house, out the power street. That's it. I think, you know, I explain myself.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Tell us about the paper we don't have a copy of that.
No, sir, that may be, could you
Yes.
have that, could you hand that over to the city?
Oh,
The city has been looking at this issue for a number of years, as you know.
Yeah.
So this is a 2011 letter that looks like Jim may have sent to
I already marked number 2 and
David
number 8.
Mahaffey, which I believe is one is perhaps still a resident.
Yes, he's
still
on,
an owner on
he's
that.
in-house on the right.
Okay. So it lists out 8 different cost of, or 8 different items, one of which is potential solutions. Let's see. And it's an assessment, and the city has been looking at here of late of what it would, that you could build the road and then assess each lot rateably for the cost of building the road.
So that's really not a solution other than building a road.
you can, I've been asking, the city can vacate the road. But when they do, then each property owner owns to the center of the road. So what has to happen is there has to be a document or something written, if each person out there will sign it, that gives each one of them the right of way to get to their home. But each one of those owners has to sign that document.
So that would allow them to get electric power
They
and
can do anything
water.
because it's not our road.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a reasonable solution to me.
But you gotta get
They would all
somebody-
have to agree.
Right,
Well, why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
I mean, it seems to me that would be, and she doesn't mind, she just wants power and, you know, to get in her house, right?
But somebody has to approach the owners and ask them, are you willing to sign? You know, we can have our attorney write us up something that they agree to, and each one of them sign it, and she can get a.
Have you communicated with the rest of the owners out there?
No.
No?
I think
No.
she has spoken with 2 of them.
Sounds good what he say, but he no bring me any warranty that everyone go to say yes.
Well, we can't warranty, we
Right.
can't guarantee anything's gonna happen. So that's,
Okay.
that's the bottom line. Like,
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
What Mr. Carlisle was saying is if the road's vacated, you legally would not be able to go from Martin Luther King Boulevard past the first lots because they would own out to the middle. There would be no public street. So it's in the best interest of everybody that lives further away from Martin Luther King to have an agreement by which they're allowed to cross those initial properties to make it to theirs.
Yeah, I understand that. But I say, I don't have any guarantee that the people own property,
Sure.
behind me, they go to approve that. That is the best way for the city to put this problem, one side, but not for solution to my problem.
It would be a solution to your problem.
So,
If every one of them would sign it, it would be a solution.
well, it only makes sense that they would sign it because it would increase the value of their property. Everybody, I mean, I can't see a reason why they wouldn't sign it. So may I make a suggestion? Can we draw something up for them? Like, to do our part, you draw up the paperwork?
We can. It's not uncommon for people to say no even when they should say yes.
Well, we can't control that.
But on the issue of the dirt road, I don't know if we have looked, we have, is Bobby here?
Bobby's here.
Is there a concern about getting the fire trucks in on a dirt road?
It's a turnaround.
So vacating it would mean that, well, there is no street there at all. We could,
So we don't have any dirt roads in the city of Sebring?
I don't know that we have any that
Certainly
dead
do.
end.
Yeah.
I was driving around Sebring and I see a lot of street that no have paving street, but the people living on their own houses.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have any that, and somebody else may be able to answer this question, I don't know that we have any that dead end. That we have under some alleys.
Right.
That are through cuts.
Well, would I'm gonna say a dirt road turnaround be sufficient?
As long as it can handle the weight of our truck.
Yeah.
Do they have the property?
We'll
My
almost
next
put a shell
question-
road in there then.
One other question is how many lots are between you and the paved road?
She's the first house on the left.
So she'd only have to get,
Only have to get
she's the
one
first
person.
house on the left?
She's
Yeah, but
well,
this
there's
is
some
one
lots,
Oh,
but she
okay.
actually owns the first house on the
Oh,
left.
the first
Maybe
built
four,
house.
four owners.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
One owner owns a large
Yeah.
section.
yeah.
Okay. So if she just got that one owner to sign off, then she could get access to her property.
Just
That
have
wouldn't solve
both
everybody's
sides.
problem, but it would solve her problem.
She's gotta have both sides.
Both
Yes,
sides,
have both
both sides of the
sides.
road.
Okay.
Well, so she bought this property after this whole thing happened, and it is not the city's responsibility to fix that. I do think that we're culpable to a degree, and I like the idea of the city putting together the paperwork to help you do this.
Okay.
And I think our lawyer will draw up the papers and you get it signed. But we can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, but-
Everybody who bought those lots have purchased it after it all fell apart. So they were taking a chance, just like you took a chance, by not exploring this and doing your due diligence prior to purchasing the property.
I know all that you say and I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
okay? But when I buy this house, they never tell me that I can use the house.
Right.
And it's something very strange that this problem coming from 2008, okay? And nobody are interested on bring a solution on this. And I feel like, that I go be alone with this. If you and the rest, around you, not try to find a better solution to me. Because I don't have any other support, only the city, okay? I don't know what more do it. I don't know where I need go, but I want to use my property. I already pay for that. I pay my taxes. I am on the right, to use my property. I don't know who created this problem or for what reason. This coming for years and years, and cities know that these houses are selling every single year for more high price, okay? It's like a business. And I put apart that is my own house and I want to live, I want to stop with this because it's something like negative, that people selling, lying to another people because the guy that's selling me this house, he never explained me all this, So it's the same for more people that every year have this problem and clean the hand. Oh, okay, this have all this situation. They don't want, for example, in my self, I driving from Plant City every time that I come in here, okay? Because I want a solution. I want a support from this city.
Did you do a title search when you purchased the property?
I was signed the purchase with let me see the office. Grace Licone is across the street. I signed the papers there, and they not let me know about this as well.
Well, that was probably the contract. It wasn't a title search. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Because a title search would have found this problem, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if there was no title search,
Did you use a realtor?
No, I buy the property with the own on that moment that own the house, and I signed the papers here on this office. It's across the street.
Whose office is that?
Cliff Abels.
Cliff Abels.
well, that's the contract to sell. That's not a title
Yeah,
search. That's a wholly
exactly.
different,
Didn't go
Right.
through the,
so there was no title search done probably.
Yeah, I already opened a dispute about this because I wasn't my right that they tell me about this when they selling the house. But that doesn't bring me a solution as well. So I don't know. It's frustrated because I come in and always is waiting, and I don't see the way to leave my house.
she's not the only one in that boat.
Yeah. Well,
It's-
I'm sure that everybody else I'm not sure of anything, but the remainder of the people that own those properties also purchased them after the development failed.
Sure.
So
That's what makes it so tough.
I would imagine that most of them, or if not all of them, knew of this issue. Because that's why they're only worth such
Most of them were picked up on tax deeds.
on tax deeds, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, you should have had a title search done. There's no question about that. And that's not the city of Sebring's fault. That's your fault because it's called due diligence. And when you purchase a property like that, you need to make sure that it doesn't have any liens or problems.
I don't have lien on my house.
Yeah.
It's the only house there that don't have lien. The
Yeah.
other have more than $500,000 or more in lien.
Right.
And
Right.
it's money that the city love on that too. And the 20 bucks that I pay on tax is lost money that the city love too. Because if that go be done,
Yes, ma'am.
I need pay more taxes
Sure.
every single day for
I
the
understand.
city.
So I think your recourse is to do what we've suggested. Allow our city attorney to write you up an agreement with the other owners and see if they'll sign it for you. And if that happens, you'll be able to access your house and get the power and the water that you desire.
Okay,
The only other alternative would be for the city to pay, was it $200,000? Because you didn't get your due diligence wasn't complete, it doesn't seem right that the city should be penalized $200,000.
yeah.
And it's not, we're not gonna make our money back because we've explored the value of the property, and the value now and the value of the road is negligible.
Okay, but on the bid solutions that they bring on the paper, they never talking about the solution that, you
Well,
know, you're being made
that was,
today.
8 years ago, and
I know.
that really doesn't have any bearing right now.
But it's still a important document, right? Because they already sent me to me, and
Yes, ma'am.
it's not that solution there.
Yeah.
The solution there was make a quote, send to each owner on the property
Right.
how much they need pay. If they don't need pay, I think the best is selling your property. But on my position, I am, in favor to pay my part.
But they're not gonna pay their part because it's vacant lots. That's the whole thing. Which means that the city gets stuck with the whole bill. And that's just
So
not fair to the
it's worth
taxpayer.
a try, allowing us to do the legal work. And then you do the footwork by contacting at least the 4 owners
Closest to the road
closest
from
to
your
the
house.
road from
Yeah.
your house, because if you can get them on both sides to your driveway,
I think we really ought to get them all, because
Sure.
those that maybe, for whatever reason, didn't get noticed there at the end, well, we know one half is.
I can't see
Right.
how they wouldn't sign it.
You,
'Cause it
you
only
wouldn't
makes
wanna
sense.
close off their access and then say, well, sorry for your bad luck.
right, no, exactly. And in other words, to be fair, we're gonna ask you, if we do the legal work, will you do the footwork, including the whole street? Because, don't forget, at the end of the street, we need that turnaround for fire trucks, for ambulances, for police cars, and all those kind of things. And if you were able to do that, then you would have a private road that would be all yours, it would be owned by all of the homeowners.
You commonly have a homeowners association in that situation that
Correct.
would maintain that.
Mhm.
There's no real guarantee that whoever owns the houses with the cul-de-sac leave them there because they
Right?
decide they want to put statues or something else
So-
out.
Yeah. Can I ask your opinion on this, please?
I mean, my opinion is similar to you all's in that anybody who's come to the party or to this proposition after the fact had to do their own due diligence in
Yeah.
order to determine whether or not there were any issues.
Right.
Obviously, this is an issue.
Mhm.
The only solution, in my mind, because sooner or later, we're gonna be putting the road in my opinion.
And I think if you leave it as a vacated dirt road now, at some point you'll be approached to put in a
Sure you
road.
will.
Because, well, they'll want a road.
I think the most,
Maintaining dirt roads, still
I might
costs money.
suggest to you, though, that you have legal recourse, possible legal recourse. You may want to talk to an attorney because the seller should have notified you of this stuff.
Yeah, I go to the.
By law, they're supposed to tell you.
And I'm sure they I'm not sure. They were probably well aware of the situation.
sure they were.
So,
I think that's reflected in the price.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really your main recourse, if you really get down
Yep.
to it, is to go against the seller, have, talk to a legal counsel, go against the seller to get your money back, and you're out of the problem.
But right now, it's like force myself, and when something enters to my mind, if I no end, I feel terrible, and I want a solution of this, not only for me, for the other people that own that property, because this is a beautiful city, and it's very frustrating for me that that street is abandoned, and houses, complete houses.
John, will the people be able to get FHA or Fannie Freddie loans on the where there's
Probably
no
not.
public access?
Probably not. Unless there's an agreement between all the homeowners on a private road, and it's a well-maintained road. You can get them on Shell Rock roads, but it's gotta be a maintained road, so.
Well, we talked about Shell Rock and the cost was still prohibitive.
It'd be, yeah. If you're gonna do
About
Shell Rock,
two-thirds
might as
the
well
cost
pave it.
of.
2/3 for the Shell Rock Road, which has to be maintained every year.
But just, people aren't gonna be able to borrow money to build homes on these currently vacant
Right,
lots.
right.
No one's living in the other houses then, right?
The only house that anybody's ever tried to live in is the very last one on the right. And I think he's been there from day one.
And he's got power and everything?
No.
No.
He has nothing.
No,
Generator.
But
power to
he's
any
been
of them.
there since about day one.
Is he in that house? Without power?
I don't
standards,
know
he
if
should be
he's
able
in the house, but he maintains the house,
maintains
he
it for sure.
maintains the yard.
Well, he'll sign.
You know, but
I believe
maybe
he used the address.
I'm not living on this city
He is the
yet.
address, he is
You
the
know, I'm not living on this city yet. You know, I go to because I go to leave my house. It doesn't matter what way, but I go to leave my house. But this guy, for example, maybe he born on this city, and I say, what the city do for this guy? Because he is living there, out the electric, out the water, you know. So, for one, not bring a solution, you know, close this, you know, this all metal ending, you know, make a solution, put the people to pay for the street, whatever that you want. But please, I need a support on this.
But wouldn't it almost be cheaper for the city to buy all the lots instead of build the road? I mean, seriously,
Well,
that's a
the
lot of
problem
money
is
to
there's
build a
already
road.
houses that are built there, that's the problem.
Yeah, you're
But they're not worth anything to speak of. There's nobody can live in them. I don't know. I don't think it's fair to the taxpayers for them to cough up the money for the road though.
Yeah.
You know, it just boggles my mind to think we would even give people a permit to build a house where the infrastructure's not in place for God's sake.
Yeah. Mr. Chair. Tom. And ask a question, looking at it from another angle, which is spending money, which we have a lot of those $200,000 extra charges. But one of the concerns, and I asked the attorney that we couldn't get our money back there because people already got liens on their house. If we put it on their tax bill and, you know, add it to the tax bill with the tax collector, when they pay their taxes, if they pay their taxes, then we would collect our money back.
Can we do that?
We can, it can be a special assessment, it could be.
Yeah,
added
special
to the-
assessment, I'm sorry.
To
yes.
the tax bill. My suspicion, you know, if they get a $10,000 special assessment on property worth $1,500, they will not likely
No,
pay it.
it'd have to be,
And we'll own the property anyway.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Value.
what I'm saying, you don't have to put 10,000 the first payment, spread it out. Try to just make it.
We can spread out, they can be, you know, spread over a number of years. Maybe one day it'll be worth enough that people will, or the city will sell them to somebody but I think, I wouldn't count on getting too much of that.
Back.
We've been kicking around 200 is the number, but
Yeah.
in my mind, maybe you get back 50 or so of that. If 150 is a good enough reason, is,
Well, I think this thing is gonna
makes
come.
sense to get it
yeah.
done for that, then fine, but
It could come back to us. I mean, we're kinda kicking it down the road here, but
it may one day come back. We get
there's 20
payments,
lots there, am I correct? Something like that?
20?
Yeah.
Yes, 20.
there are that
5
many on
houses,
Curry.
the rest
Yeah,
is
20
vacant
Curry.
lot.
that are
There are-
impacted by this.
and another 10 on Tacoma, which is the street to the south. And we do get code enforcement lien payoffs periodically on homes that you wouldn't perhaps expect to get money. So, you know, maybe
Well,
more
it's
can
just-
come in than that.
Trying to find another discussion here.
Sure.
I guess.
Well, we have had people approach us that wanted to buy those homes on that street, but when they found out they couldn't do nothing with them, they
Yep.
went down the road.
And it's what I not do. You know, I try to, you know, make a difference on this.
Yeah.
And if they don't pay the assessment, and the city would end up with it, with the property, it would probably be at a pretty low price. Yeah.
Just need better buy-in from the owners that are there, because let's say we don't put a paved road in and we put a a shell rock road in. There'd be some annual maintenance cost that theoretically could be shared by the property owners, and maybe that annual maintenance cost wouldn't be so significant. And then obviously, much later down the road, as, you know, maybe some of those lots develop, you could get to a point where you could, you
I don't
know,
know
they
if
could
we could-
afford to pave it, I don't know.
I don't know that we could pass along maintenance charges, special assessments for the capital improvement. I don't know that we could for the initial installation of either paved or shell rock road, but I don't think, absent agreement, we could obligate the homeowners to chip in for periodic upkeep of a shell road.
Wouldn't that money come out of infrastructure anyway? Not our budget?
I think that it would have to. It would have to, wouldn't it? Finance director?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
either.
General fund.
Either one. General fund dollars or infrastructure.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have him drop the paperwork, let her pursue it, and then have her come back and tell us what's up?
It's a good first step.
So try.
We do the legal work, you do the footwork, let's see what happens. And if for some reason it doesn't work out, we're not any further behind.
Sure. What,
Okay.
how about I perhaps do a letter that kind of explains what all would need to be done?
Yes.
That way we don't spend a bunch of money creating documents that nobody, or only some want.
That's probably
And that way she
Sounds fine.
gets them on board with the idea first, and then go from there if it's
One more
positive or not.
question. If one of these guys that own property, you know, behind me, say no, city have any power to bring me that permit for go to my house, enter to my house?
I'm not sure.
Because right now
it-
it's a public street.
Right.
So, city have on the hand to bring me a permit out, you know, the other guys or the permit that the other guy need bring me? Okay, I got to explain again.
Yeah, I don't get it.
If one of the owner say no with the letter that I need sent, city have the, you know, the power to bring me that permit out all these people?
No, we couldn't do
No,
that.
because right now it's a public street, not a private road. Right now.
Well, if they
It's a
don't,
public street.
if they say they're not gonna sign it, it will never be vacated. It takes all of them.
Yeah, but vacated is a possible that you bring me now. But right now, Korea Street is a public street. So right now, the city have the option to bring me that permit before you turn, you know, the street like private road.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Maybe she's talking about the certificate of occupancy
Yeah, maybe
to be
so.
issued? Is that what you're looking?
She can't
I
have
am
that.
trying to find if the city can bring me a permit to enter to my house before the city
That's all
change
That's,
from the public street to private road.
If you don't have water and if you don't have electricity,
But I don't have that because the city not bring me a permit onto the public street.
Provide an easement?
I was just wondering that we rarely have the issue where you vacate it subject to an easement in favor of a utility that's got
How about
facilities in
in
the
favor
line.
of a road right away?
I mean, really a sort of multi-party easement, in fact, just access easement, may be possible.
Doesn't she have the right now to drive down that street to the
yes,
house?
yeah, but what we're talking about is utility
To get the
easement.
power
But
and
there's
water.
got,
If it's vacated.
Yeah, okay. But right now, she can drive down the street because it's a city street.
Yes, because it's a public street.
Right, but once vacated, it would be owned by
Right.
By
the
the
lot owners on either
Right,
side.
right.
But if, in the vacation process, if we can vacate it subject to an access easement, that may be
Possibility.
a possibility. It's not, by no means ideal,
Mhm.
but,
Well, can you look into that?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And
why
also-
can't the utilities run a power line now? There's an easement there.
I don't think that the money has been, my guess is that Duke has not been, or its predecessor hadn't been paid to run it out there.
Well, I think she had a bid from them for $7,000 to
Right.
run a line.
Yes.
So she can get the line run, and there's
But I
got to
need
be
a
an easement
permit,
there
I
because we
need a
have
permit
water
for the
lines on
city
it.
first. Yeah, because I need a permit from the city for put the electric and the all utility, that is the first. And the second, maybe right now, the city can bring me a permit for go to my house because it's a public street. So
So
all
the-
the solutions are on
There
your
are
hand.
permits that you can get to have the work done, sewer, the water and electric. The city can't give you a certificate of occupancy until those things are done.
Yeah,
So
but
you
I
get
can
the
put-
permit for those.
On the paper that, I receive, I see that the city not bring me a permit for to utility until the power street.
So the challenge with that one is you needed to have a county. The water line itself is on the far side, and at least at the time, that you needed a county permit to jack and bore the line underneath the county road. Now, since there's a water, since we're told there's a water
There's
line
water
that's run,
mains
not
there.
charged, maybe that's already been done. I know that was an issue at some point in the past, that maybe that's no longer
I
an
think-
issue, and that may be the permit you're
Kim, do
referring
you
to.
know anything? I think the problem is before the county would issue or allow the permit, they wanted a apron.
They want
Right.
a driveway right there. That's
Huh?
correct.
Yeah,
Right.
an apron. So there would have to be an apron put. Then you could get a permit to go under the road.
Okay.
And then if she could get I don't know if Greg, if he can answer this, but if we got the, put an apron, got the water line attached, and then her pay the power line, can she move into the house, Greg?
So long as she has sanitary, water,
I don't think sewer's been run down there.
They're on septic tank.
Around septic.
It's a septic tank.
Oh,
So
it's
they have
septic.
the septic tanks, all she needs is the water and the power.
Is your
You
septic
can
tank
drill a
in?
well and-
Yes,
and
in
put
front
a
of the
water
house.
Good.
conditioner. I lived in a house for
I don't know if you
15
can
years
do-
out in the country.
I don't know if you can do that in the city limits, can you, Scott?
What?
What's that?
Drill a well
drill
and
it?
have your own potable water?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Does anybody know
I'm
the answer to
asking.
that out there? Bob, is Bob Bogus?
No, he's not here.
I don't know why you
You
could.
can't.
Why, it's, yes.
Legally, you could, if you say, I don't want city water, I'm gonna have my own well.
I think she could, but I don't know why. I mean,
I
the
know how
connection can be
problem, yeah.
made. The lines are in the ground.
I know how problem with pay
So-
for the connection or nothing.
So
Yeah.
all we need to do is connect the line on the other side of
Right.
the road. Yes.
The backside.
Yes.
And we need an
Um,
apron for
and
that.
We need an apron.
So
That's what
I
the
don't-
county's requiring, an apron to be built.
So why
An
can't?
apron is not it's not a lot of money.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Why can't we put an
So you
apron?
put an
in,
apron in.
Get the water line, and then she can get her power line, and she can move in.
Wow, that sounds too simple all of a sudden.
And then we talk around it.
Well, all that can be done, you just have to acknowledge, and she has to acknowledge, and everybody else has to acknowledge that they have a dirt road. And there shouldn't be an expectation necessarily that.
Is it a dirt road or a grass road right now?
No, it's clay. It's a
It's
clay
clay.
road.
It is.
It's a clay road.
Bumpy.
Like a line.
So, put the apron in, get the water. She already has septic, because she has her own septic tank. And once the water's there, she can get the electric.
That, I can't answer that electric question. What did they say?
They
Did the
say
power company
they
tell
send
you?
me an invoice with a quote of $7,000.
So if you pay the 7,000, you got
Yeah.
electric.
You get
Yes.
electric.
And
But
if
the-
you have water and electric and sewer, Greg said he'd sign off, right?
That's what I'm
Is
hearing.
that right,
Is that
Greg?
right, Greg?
You need to come up here.
Why don't we have, Greg can look at it and send her a letter
I
that
think
says,
we
here's
probably
what
ought
needs
to
to be
put this in
done.
writing so we understand
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean,
please.
you know, you have fire services that won't get down there, so if that house starts on fire, it'll burn to the ground probably. How about your garbage services? Are they gonna be able to drive down
She
there?
can bring the garbage out to the main road.
That's what's gonna have to happen, Jeff.
She would be willing, but I don't know that other.
So
Well,
the fire-
we're
fire
talking about
service is a problem.
right now.
And there, Greg Griffin, building official, there's one more caveat that I was just thinking about. I don't know what your intended use is for the property. The permit has not been finalized, so you'll either have to do owner-builder or have a contractor. If you intend to live in the property, you can do owner-builder. If you intend to use the property as a rental, you'll have to hire a contractor to final it.
I tried to live in the house.
okay,
To
you
do,
wanna live
to
there.
do what?
To do what?
To live in
Right.
the house.
She wants to live in the house, so she could,
The contractor to do what?
to final the permit, because the permit's not final. It's
I
still,
see.
it's still open and the CO hasn't been issued.
And that's what she's looking for is a CO.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because whatever contract that I take, they go to see that the city saying, no, I'm not going to bring any permit.
Sure.
So it's what I want that they change.
But he's saying you can do it as a owner.
Right, you could do an owner builder permit. We'd go through, do the final inspection. I'd have to review what permits have been pulled on it, make sure everything's code compliant. But outside of that, we're not gonna, I'm
So
not gonna
Greg, you
stand
can
anywhere.
work with her on this.
Sure,
Correct.
so long, well, it's, the holdup is more the utilities.
Sure. Who can find,
Any idea
I'm
what
looking
the,
at Scott.
what's
Who can find out how she can get the water and the electric?
The
Well,
water,
she's
I can-
already got
the
that.
water I can, the
Well,
water
she
I,
said she can
so
already get it
I
from-
think the electric, I think they're gonna run the, I don't know what the requirements for the electric company are, but I'm assuming they're gonna run the electric to the house if they pay her, if she pays the fee.
Well, typically, the electrics run before the CO.
Because it's probably
So-
run, quite often,
Yeah.
it might even be run before roads are run,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, they
So-
wouldn't care one way or another.
So you would be willing to pay the $7,000 to get the electricity hooked up?
So you need to pour
One down,
an
two to
apron
go.
for your driveway.
No, we have to have an apron on the,
the main
coming
road.
off the road.
Oh, we do.
We have to have an apron.
There has to
Oh,
be
an apron for the road that's not there.
From the road to
It'll wear out
the,
Martin Luther like
dirt.
we have been, I guess.
Wow.
they're trying to protect,
The
The road,
side
yeah,
of the
edge of the
road.
road.
So all we have to do is put an apron,
I got it.
you know,
Any idea
which
what
is
that would
a
cost?
easy fix.
Yeah.
couple thousand
And was that,
dollars or more?
is that going on sanitary or is it going on septic?
It's septic now.
Septic.
She
It's
has
septic.
septic.
You have a septic tank in place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just, I'm gonna put this forth and ask if she would be willing to pay for the apron so that she could get the water, or if we could put that on an assessment to all the property owners down there. That would only be, let's just say, a few $100s per property. If that apron, and I'm just gonna throw out a number, say $5,000,
I doubt that.
you got 20 lots down there.
Yeah, I think it'd be $5,000.
What would you guess? I don't know.
I don't know.
But, you know, or maybe it's 4,000,
Can't-
each
you can
lot
get
would
an
have
estimate from,
$200 then instead of 2,000.
Excavation
They
point.
don't give you an estimate on that.
Greg may be able to do something.
What if we did a letter, Greg works on a letter of the things necessary to get the CO, to the extent there are things that need to be, get some numbers to bring back to you, we can do that, so we, you know, he's not trying to wing this.
Right.
Make sure we have
That's a good idea.
all that we need,
Yeah,
and
but-
then you can decide then what
let's-
you wanna do with the money, what
Let's let,
charges.
let's let the fire department add to that letter their
Yes, sir.
requirements. So we'll know.
Probably Public Works also. with
Public
garbage.
Works as well for
Public
But
garbage.
she
Pick
can
up the
bring the
garbage.
garbage out too.
Well, if that's
We
the
just
case,
have to
let's have
see
Public
if it
Works
is.
tell us that. Right?
Okay.
Do you understand what we're gonna do?
Yes.
Okay.
We're really trying for you.
We wanna help
Boy,
you. We
gotta
just
know
don't,
that.
we just don't wanna lose
Appreciate it.
$200,000. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. The only that, please, don't let me alone on this. It's the
No, we're
only that
trying
I
to
go
fix it
ask
for you.
Okay. I appreciate it. I
So-
go to war with, you know, all
Okay.
the
Yeah.
you
And
on
in the
this.
meantime, do you wanna write that letter anyways for the other owners?
Yeah, I can.
Let's
I-
attack it on two fronts, right?
I think I'd do this first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause another one, I think you're gonna find out, I hate to say it, one of the landowners is gonna say,
Really?
Several are
Say
absentee
not interested.
I would
owners.
think one could take
Okay,
it.
they don't care.
I think you're probably on the 5 houses, you're gonna have no problem.
Yeah,
But I think this is a solution that she's gonna have, and that guy in the end may extend it down to him.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. So we'll start with
I
that.
not be the first person that living out the power street. I don't need power street for living, but I need a permit for, you know, all of this. So
We're try-
that is the solution that I
Okay,
try to.
well, let us
before.
do this. We're
Yeah.
trying to help you get in there.
I know, sir.
And
Thank
we,
you. I
we
appreciate
certainly expect to see you again.
Okay.
Right.
Don't be a family because I'm many times.
And your English is doing well.
I am on that. I am studying with my daughter
Yeah.
because she say that I don't know how to say seats, so she always say your English is terrible.
It's getting better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Item 10A, I believe, Property at 733 E.O. Douglas Avenue. Ms. Edwards is not available to be here with us this evening on a family emergency situation. She lives at 727 E.O. Douglas Avenue and is interested in the adjacent lot next to her property owned by the city. Ms. Edwards has been providing the mowing and upkeep of that property. She would like for the city to deed the property to her, or as an alternative, sell it to her for the assessed value of $265. Attached, please find, we have several attachments here. Highlands County Property Appraiser information to back up that, and information from our building department on what can be allowed to be built on that property. So, our request is whatever council deems appropriate in this case.
So it's not a buildable lot,
No.
and she's probably spent $265 on mowing it.
Yeah,
I think we should give it to her.
Amen. I'll second that motion.
Got a motion
Is that a motion?
Yeah, it's a motion.
I second
and
it.
a second? Anything from the audience?
I have one
Charlie.
question, and do we have any easements that need to be considered there?
Is it a paved road? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think that's all.
How about utilities?
I think the easements should stand.
Everything I think is in place.
Take it as is, where is.
All right.
Everything I think is in place. This is way too short if this is one of those property items, but Kathy, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lorenz.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bettman.
Absolutely. That's a yes. Okay, item 10B, GFNY International Cycling Event, Casey Hart and Christy Vasquez. And I thank you for the phone call the other day
You're welcome.
on this topic. So it's all yours. Hit all the high spots and let's see where we go from here.
Thank you. I can make this as long or short as you all want. So
High spots only.
yeah, high spots only. Well, thank you all for having us. For the record, my name is Casey Hart. I'm representing the Highlands County Tourist Development Council. Christy Vasquez is representing the Sebring CRA. We have been talking with this group called GFNY for about 3 or 4 months now. They actually called us and said they are looking for a location to host their Florida cycling event, cycling marathon, and Sebring was mentioned several times to them as a destination that is already familiar with hosting cycling events and also a destination that is centrally located, so they like that. They do these events all around the world. They started with New York 10 years ago. They expanded to Italy. You can see the resume. It's everything from Panama, Colombia, Cozumel, Jerusalem, everything's on there. So Sebring would be there for the Florida location. They've agreed that Sebring would be the only location in Florida for this event. The basis behind this is be a pro for the day. That's the concept. The founders are Lydia and Uli, and I'm not going to try to pronounce their last name. But you can see on the second to last page, they are world-class athletes themselves, so they're very familiar with it. Also have a very strong business acumen as well. They've been able to build this brand, obviously, to great extents through brand building and then also engagement of the cycling community, and then also a very aggressive and strategic digital media strategy with their marketing. They attract people from about 120 countries to a lot of their events. I don't know how, like again, I know you all read through this, so I'm just going to hit the highlights. At their GFNY New York event, they had 5,000 participants. 2019 GFNY World participants was 30,000 people. In 2020, they expect 40,000 participants. They have a lot of media coverage. This would be one thing that we partner with them on from the TDC's perspective. Also working with them to do a media familiarization trip where we bring down cycling media, the media that talk about cycling, to see this event for themselves. Just a little bit of background on Gran Fondo. It's actually a cycling event that originated in Italy. When Lydia went to Italy, this was her first time doing a Gran Fondo, and about a week later she co-founded Gran Fondo New York. So that's kind of how it came to be. Christy and I met last Monday with one of their representatives. I don't really know what his title was. He's in charge of all their content development. He comes to an event, he writes stories about it. They actually they video and photograph the course before the event. They video and photograph the course during the event to use for all their promotional materials. It's a well-oiled machine. he told us that they are extremely aggressive with social media. And Christy's here in case I leave anything out.
Casey, will you or Christie be the local contact from the cycling group?
Yes, sir. I expect probably both of us will be to some degree. Christy obviously representing downtown because they do want to hub out of the Civic Center, and then myself just from a tourism perspective because they are coming to the TDC to ask for
I'm
funds.
kind of thinking, in other words, when you're ready to develop your route, you'd have to sit down, one of the two or both of you, with both Chief Hoagland and Sheriff Blackman, and come up with that plan that would be what they're looking forward to accomplishing.
Yes, sir.
And then moving ahead that way.
We have had 5 routes in the mix. We have narrowed it down to 1. We've been consulting with the county engineer, and now we've currently kicked it to Sheriff Blackman for input as well. Basically, the course starts in Sebring, goes out Sunnyland to MLK, and then out to Arbuckle Creek, and then comes back. So that's really the only part that's actually in the city limits, is if we go with this course.
Right.
But we haven't sat down and determined the fees and all that stuff. So that's why the recommendation is contingent upon the final course approval.
So how many miles are they gonna be riding?
The short course is 50 miles, the long course is 100 miles.
Are you gonna join?
No.
I have a question
That's
for
too
you.
short.
It was more of a challenge.
We'll expect to see you out there.
In your spandex.
Right.
As far as the CRA and the TDC, have they committed to any particular funds, any amount yet?
Not yet. The TDC meets on Thursday.
Okay.
And the CRA meets the 10th?
The CRA meets the 10th. The CRA board had a preliminary discussion on this, and it's incredibly favorable. So now the event organizer will be with us via phone at our February 10th meeting with their formal ask.
And she has agreed, I mean, she will be coming down and would like to come in front of you all. We just wanted to kind of get the ball rolling for her, get the preliminary approvals, so we can kind of set this in motion, but she would like to come in front of you and present as well.
Okay. I just want to say thank you very much for answering the phone that particular day. I think this is the kind of events that
Oh,
will
I
really
thought I was special.
be great. It'd just be great for Sebring. We have, of course, the 12-hour race out here, which is now double races. We have the bicycle event and I guess,
Triathlon.
the triathlon in June, and then another one in September. This is great.
So we could be home to 2 international events.
That would be
I like it.
awesome. And I just want to say also in
Oh, nice.
regards to the CRA and making bike paths and things like that, we have a lot of bicycle people that are coming here now, and we can really build on that.
Absolutely.
And this would be just super. So
So they're
certainly,
thinking-
I would like to make the recommendation that we approve the recommendation as presented.
I'll
Make the motion.
second that.
Okay.
But I want, one question, so they're thinking about 40,000 people?
The first year, they expect 1,000 riders.
1,000.
This is their world event that attracts that many people, but that's the breadth of their reach, which is pretty
So
impressive.
all these people's gonna need hotels, food, so that'll help the economy.
Yes, sir. They're in the presentation, they expect the first year, based on 1,000 riders, about a $1.3 million economic impact.
And this is a 3-year commitment.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yes, sir.
And the events that they've held so far in New York and in Santa Fe, New Mexico have been absolutely good events.
Yes, and
been
actually,
very successful.
the TDC has hired, we have some sports consultants on staff.
Mhm.
They were here last week. I asked them about GFNY, if they were familiar with them. They weren't, but they have a lot of connections within the cycling world, so they were able to make a couple calls and a little background check on them. So they're very good people to work with, and they do quality events.
Beautiful.
Do you have to work with Polk County also?
I think the route that we're talking about as of today, changes daily, does not go to Polk County.
I noticed that you were
Good.
talking about going around Lake Reedy, which is Polk County.
Yeah, I think we've kind of got like I said, we had 5 routes in the mix, and we really left it up to Gator. Part of it is they never stop cycling. Like, unlike other races, they can't stop. So the train tracks were a real issue because CSX can't give us train schedules. Like, we can for Amtrak for passenger trains, but not for those types of trains. So we're trying to limit the amount of crossing railroad tracks. At Sunnyland, they would do it right at the beginning of the race and then make the finish line right before the railroad tracks.
So how far would they have to go to ride 100 miles? Out
Over
Arbuckle
Joby and
Creek
back.
and back ain't 100 miles.
Part of it is some backtracking, so they do the same, they'll cover the same ground twice in some parts.
It's like going around the circle twice.
Yeah.
They have transponders on their bikes on it.
That's almost
so they
100
can
miles.
just jump over.
Yeah.
Now, I did hear a favorable, sounded like a motion in a second, however, on the agenda item here, it does have 2 recommended actions. Number 1 is the motion, would be a motion to waive all fees associated with the Sebring Civic Center rental for the event, October 22nd through the 25th, contingent upon agreement with the Sebring Historical Society to move either the location or date of their October quarterly meeting. And number 2, motion to waive all city fees, public works, police, fire associated with the event on Sunday, October 25th, contingent upon the event's final route.
Yes. And requested motion was, and I made, approved recommendation as presented.
There we go.
And I seconded it.
And that sounds like it'll work. Now, is there anyone out there that would like to comment on this agenda item? If not, I think we're gonna take a vote.
Could I ask for one, sorry, and I don't know if this is proper procedure. She asked me on Friday if there's any way they could move into the Civic Center on the 21st.
So do you wanna make that part of the,
Did you, is it
Is it
available?
Jessica
available?
said, yeah, Jessica said it's available.
check the date?
Yeah, and we've already worked with the Sebring Historical
So
Society
you
also
know
to
it's available
change.
on the 21st.
I wasn't positive on the day before, but if you've checked that, then
Jessica emailed me back today, and I think it is.
on the day
available,
before,
yeah.
okay.
And you checked with the Historical Society?
Yes, sir, we've already worked it out for them to change their date, so
There you
we've
go.
already worked that
Okay,
out.
so they're good to go then, right?
So your motion would include the 21st
Yes.
for the Civic Center?
And my second
And your
will.
second would do that?
Thank you.
And I do think we're ready for a vote now.
3 more changes.
Any more changes? Kathy, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Either
much.
Christy, myself, or Lydia will be coming back to you all. Thank
Okay,
you.
we do
Well,
have.
thank you for your phone calls. That was
Yes.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
that was
Appreciate
good.
Thank you.
touching base with.
We do have an agenda request form here on an ongoing issue on Queen Palm Avenue in Sebring. This should be interesting. It says the topic is hogs. So Kayla, is it Gorby?
Yes, sir.
Gorby?
Yes, sir.
Please.
How are y'all doing tonight?
We're doing great. How about you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Alright, there's been an incident. I do hog hunt.
I'm sorry.
I said I do hog hunt. My whole family we hunt hogs.
Okay.
Alright? It's not against the law. It's not illegal. It's also not illegal to hunt a hog with dogs as well. My dogs are well mannered. You tell them to leave something alone, they're done. They leave it alone. We didn't know it until this past weekend, or mainly today. I've been in St. Pete since yesterday. I got home today to animal control, the sheriff department, and code enforcement, Joe, at my house. We had 2 little pigs there. They said that they gotta go. They're wild, they're not potbellies. Okay, that's fine. They were my friends. She took off with them. Phyllis, the lady sitting over here to my left, posted a picture of my son and my friend Christy standing next to a live, tied up hog in my yard. The hog was not dead. The hog was not beaten, drug, or anything. We did not abuse our hogs. I've been doing this my whole life. I have plenty of witnesses.
Did you say it was a wild, tied-up hog?
It's a wild one. When we catch them, yes, sir, we do tie up the legs.
Okay.
We catch them for either families that need meat, mainly ourselves. I prefer wild meat over buying in the store. They're trying to say that we're getting in for animal abuse. The sheriff said everything's fine, along with the animal control and Joe from code enforcement. My son, that they said was 15, he's only 10 years old, that was in the picture. They said that he's the one that was abusing the hog. He can even speak for himself, if need be, that he will not hit an animal. As far as he does with a hog is he will help grab it. We have permission here in Highlands County on groves that is a nuisance in the groves to hunt these hogs. It being on our property, we did find out that we're not allowed to have it there because we are within their residence and we got that taken care of.
In the city limits. license, yes.
We are allowed, though, me and my husband are licensed to transport live wild swine within the city limits to one place to another. We do have the license for that. We got that out of Okeechobee. We've had it for about 2.5 years now. My issue is they blasted everything all over Facebook, and I'm letting everybody know, you know, we do not abuse these hogs at all. Yes, we do eat them. It is a way of life. I understand they have feelings, so on and so forth, but so do the animals, including pigs that get slaughtered that they sell out of the meat stores. Same thing, just different breeds. I have threats, Caitlin Stevens, threatening to drag my family behind a truck until they're dead because of this incident.
All right, no,
I have
one-
screenshots.
Hang on a second, if you wanna come up later, we'll call you up, okay? But let's do one thing at a time. And also, this might be a little bit difficult, because if I understand this correctly from the email that I read from, our police chief, this issue is pending investigation. So it's an active investigation, we have not concluded that, is that correct, chief? Yes, sir. Okay,
So
sir.
why are we even addressing this? It's a law enforcement issue.
yeah, I'm just,
Well, they said the law enforcement wasn't doing nothing about it. Animal control has taken care of it. We got the 2 baby pigs that were wild off my property. They were at my friend's dad's house in the county. We had everything taken care of. We now know not to bring a wild hog up to my property for any reason or anything. But the threats, it is with the sheriff department. I had, instead of Sebring PD coming to my house, I had an actual sheriff come to my house. It is reported of everybody's screenshots of the threats with the truck, being beaten with pipes by a guy named Nick. People is talking about they're gonna abuse my children, discipline my children just because my children hog hunt. And it's all been within law enforcement, and I seen it on a recording this morning that a meeting was done, and this was brought up with them, and that's the reason why I came in tonight, so I could speak on my behalf on it.
well, rather than, and I don't mean to cut you short, but
That's okay.
let's just do this, okay? And the reason the sheriff's office is out there is because they are animal control for,
Yes, sir.
for the city of Sebring and the rest of the county.
Mhm.
I don't even know if it's appropriate for us to have much more discussion until the police department, who has jurisdiction,
Yes, sir.
completes their investigation. I see Chief Hoagland moved up a couple of rows, so if he'd like to, address us this evening, we might just place it back in the chief's hands, let them do their job, and if for some reason or another you're not satisfied, or the other folks over here have a complaint, then we can listen to it, but as it stands, it's kind of inappropriate for us to continue to even
That's
discuss
what
this.
I thought this morning
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
So.
Chief, Chief Hoagland?
Mayor, council, and staff, good evening. Chief Hoagland for the record. As Ms. Gorby has brought to light, we've had a series of complaints that started with civil disputes seemingly between neighbors and the Gorby family. Some of it was animal related. We had a problem with a dog that's leash extended across property lines. That was rectified. We've had an issue with disputes over property lines with another neighbor. That too has been satisfied. This past weekend, the agency received a number of complaints regarding animals, specifically pigs, with allegations that there was abuse to an animal. And I've outlined what those allegations were to you. Essentially, that there were kids that were seen, I guess, beating a pig with a stick and also chasing it or dragging it with a truck. The officer that went out and investigated the initial part of that allegation did not observe anything to support that. However, that component of the case is still the active investigation that Mr. Detman has referred to. And reason being is if we get more opportunities to collect information, evidence, video, things along those lines, we certainly want to utilize that to substantiate or to dismiss the charges. What has happened is this case, in a social media perspective, has taken on a life of its own. So the initial post of the hog laying in the driveway, I believe at Ms. Gorby's residence, was posted on social media, Facebook specifically, and has now gathered a following and taken on a life of its own with some confusion that it was dogs being drugged down the street, that it was the hog being drugged down the street, and we've had a number of people indirectly associated with this adding comments, and now to the point that there may be some threatening language that's been posted. Those independent allegations of threats are what Ms. Gorby is referring to as far as being resorted to the sheriff's office. We, at this time right now, do not have any criminal charges pending in animal abuse, and all of the civil component The hogs being in town against code have been rectified. The animal complaint has been cleared. Animal Services has re-inspected the property as late as or as early as this morning. All of those issues are neatly buttoned up and resolved. The only portion pending is the animal abuse allegations, which to this point have not been substantiated, but we are looking into.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Well, I would ask all parties involved to be patient and to be cooperative with our police department. We have a high degree of confidence in Chief Hoagland and his staff. So in saying that, I would hope that we can bring this to a reasonable solution and understanding, and that everybody tries to get along. I mean, I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but in a case like this, you know, some of the information that's put out can be turned around and twisted, and you know how social media is. We see this all the time. We all see it, personally and professionally. So what I would ask is that we probably don't entertain any additional comments tonight. Give the police department the opportunity to complete its criminal investigation. I think the chief has already said pretty plainly that the civil portion of this should be put to rest in everybody's mind. And if for some reason that doesn't work out, I would ask you to speak to the chief personally before all the T's and all or after all the T's and all the I's are dotted. Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Gorby. Folks over here, you're okay with that?
No, sir, I'm sorry. No.
Okay, come forward, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Annette Robleski. I have a potbelly pig sanctuary in Polk County. However, I've dealt with Highlands County Animal Control and taken in several of their pigs.
Sure.
I think you are only hearing one side of the story. Phyllis Phipps is a witness to what has happened, and she said that this is, and I'm saying hearsay. Phyllis, please come up if you can. This is not a one-time incident, gentlemen and ladies. This has been going on for over a year. She has children in the neighborhood that are witnessing this, and they have to shut their doors, close their windows, so they do not hear the screaming of the piglets as they are being tortured and killed on property. That is not appropriate. I understand hog hunting. I understand what you gentlemen and ladies do for a living. But torture is torture for an animal. If it was a dog, we wouldn't be here today. It would be another situation.
I understand your emotions on this as well. The one thing that's, call it what you want, maybe curt or cold, but we have to give the police department the opportunity to review all the evidence.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if there's video, I mean, everybody's got one of these.
Yeah, but the thing
Yeah.
of it is, I don't have video and I won't
And then,
stream live.
and you have to understand this, and maybe even be able to accept this. Might be very, very difficult to swallow, and say, well, up to this point, the evidence may not support what everybody's talking about. That's possible. You understand what I'm trying to say here?
Mm-hmm.
And if that occurs, then we start fresh. And if those conditions continue, get your video, get your witnesses lined up, do what you have to do to present those things to the police department so they can draw a conclusion based on all of the evidence. Evidence is what it's all about.
Yes, sir. Were you able to review the BOCC when we went to the BOCC today?
No.
And okay, well, I'm sorry for lack of status here. Detective Blackman, the head of the sheriff's department.
Blackman, he's the sheriff of the county.
Yes. Okay. He said that prior to this incident, he had been called out to the property, and because of the stench of the dogs.
That would be their code enforcement people?
Yes, the stench of the dogs. Can you imagine what would happen to the stench of the dogs to be that inhibiting that people would call, the neighbors would call? To me, you know what that states? Dead pig blood, dead carcass, okay? It might have even been the dead animals that they dropped the pigs in the back acres. It's a cul-de-sac, sir.
Mhm.
So what they would do is they would kill they would let the dogs kill the pigs,
Mhm.
and then the pigs are disposed in the backwoods.
Mhm.
And then, you know, you can see
See
things
buzzards.
hovering. Okay, so
See buzzards hovering around.
Okay.
I cannot imagine what type of stench a dog would have
Mhm.
in order to create an aura that neighbors would complain about it.
Right, right, and there's two prongs to that part of the investigation as well. One would be city code enforcement, because you're in the city limits.
Right.
And the other one would be the potential for animal abuse, and that would initially be taken by the sheriff's office, because they're in charge of the animals.
Okay.
But
I will
all
let this go,
All
sir.
I'm asking, quite honestly, is all I'm asking is, give our police department the opportunity to
Yes,
go
sir.
through this. If they come back and say, we don't have credible evidence, then they don't. But that doesn't mean that in the future there couldn't be or shouldn't be. And if the practice continues, as you're stating, and as Ms. Gorby, I guess, is saying is not happening, somewhere down the line, the truth has to come out and the
Yes.
evidence has to be brought
Exactly,
forward.
sir. And so people are, the neighbors are afraid to come forward. However, she did release a letter from a neighbor to the Highlands County newspaper. So I don't know how much legitimate, if he's able
Well,
to publish
even
it or
if-
whatever.
Listen,
but
even if you
it's
have
coming.
witnesses who are afraid to come forward, it doesn't mean that they can't forward to you, whether it be on Facebook or some other form of media, any video they have, any photographs they have, anything at all that would bring the evidence forward
Yes.
so that the police department, because everything short of that, you're right back to square one. We haven't accomplished anything.
But can we please agree on this, that is torture for an animal to be dragged behind a vehicle
If an
and
animal
tied?
was,
That is
yes.
against the law. It is also a
If an
felony
animal
to
was
abuse
drugged
an
behind a
animal,
vehicle, absolutely, yes.
whether it's a dog, cat, any animal.
Absolutely.
Can we agree on that, please,
Yeah,
ladies,
I don't think
gentlemen?
there's any issue there. I think we all agree with that.
Thank you. Thanks very
Absolutely.
much.
So,
Rest my case,
the
sir.
investigation has to run its course, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
And I hope all of you keep an open mind and give your best form of cooperation. The Gorbys, you folks over here, everybody that has the same concerns as we do here tonight.
And I did take down the post.
If he is a licensed
Thank you very
trapper,
much. Yeah.
and if he is a licensed trapper, this is not the way to trap hogs.
I hear that. I absolutely
That's
hear
not
that.
humane.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much,
Ms.
sir.
Gorby, do you have something else you wanted to say? She has her hand up.
If by far the pig was being drugged, we live on a concrete road.
I'm sorry. I didn't-
We live on a concrete road, so if the animal was being drugged, obviously there would be blood there. There would have been scrapes, everything else. Now, my husband did admit and everything this before we even knew that he did slaughter the hog, and we did wrap up the meat in our backyard. He showed the sheriff that, he showed the code enforcement that, he showed animal control that. And that's when they told us it just can't happen within city limits. We have to get a permit for that. They said if we get the permit, then yes, we could bring the hog there, stab it, and clean it. But other than that, it has to be out of city limits because we live in a residential area.
Okay, is that good
So, yes.
advice, chief? Is that correct? Is that good advice?
I apologize, I was engaged in conversation.
Just repeat it one more time.
Yes. Animal control, code enforcement, and a sheriff officer said, because my husband did admit, we slaughtered the hog. He cleaned it. We got the meat out of it, right there in our backyard. They said that it just can't happen again. They closed the case. They said that was done as long because they told us that we cannot bring it there unless we have a permit to kill the hog there and to clean it there. That's when they told us today that we'd have to go get a permit for that. And that part we did not know until today.
The information that was passed on from code enforcement and the officer that investigated the initial complaint is that a live hog was brought back to the house and then dispatched at the home and butchered. Obviously, in violation of ordinance, we can't have the hog brought to the home. However, the hog can be butchered on property provided sanitary considerations are put into
Yes,
play.
sir. Like burn the carcass or bury it is what she had told us. after
Yeah,
we're
and-
done cleaning it.
As long as the lot is big enough to support that in a cleanly manner, I would suppose that would be okay. Admittedly, I don't hunt and don't dispose of carcasses. Sorry.
It's
From
okay,
a-
I've done it my whole life.
From a code enforcement perspective, the animal, the dog waste was addressed through Joe by spreading lime or lye on
We
the
got
property.
lime, and that actually happened. It only happened one time, as far as what I'm aware of. We had just wormed our dogs. We take care of our dogs. We have a lot of puppies.
Yeah.
I got people coming to get the puppies because we actually rescued them from like 2 hours away. I wormed them. Yes, they're going to use the bathroom a lot. They are healthy. They're good. They had the proper shelter. The smell is actually gone, and I didn't even spray lime out yet. I have the bags of lime, but I haven't even touched it yet because it was cold weather, and I've been in St. Pete with my disabled son, and I just got back today. Still not even spread out yet. There's no smell.
According to reinspection from Animal Control this morning, the property is in compliance from Animal Services. They re-inspected. There was one issue with an unsecure pen, and I believe that was resolved this morning as well. So the code case in regard to the property sanitation considerations has been cleared, and the Animal Services case, as I understand, has been cleared as well. The only outstanding issue we had was concerning the hog that was brought back and the abuse of it being abused. That's the only portion of our case that is currently reopened.
So
or
the bottom
still
line is, the investigation is in the court of the police department, and that's where you will follow up with that.
Yes, sir. I'll be taking my
Is
son up
it-
there tomorrow
Okay,
morning.
folks?
Is it legal to kill that hog in the city limits?
You can't.
She said something about getting a permit.
We
I
have
didn't
to
know
get a permit.
I didn't know you could get a permit to, I know you can butcher, but I don't think it's
We would
allowed.
need a variance from our ordinance to possess a live hog in the city. And I don't know that there is such an animal, no pun
I
intended.
was just saying what she had said.
Yeah, we don't generally offer any type of variance for possession. Potbelly pigs are the only pigs that are allowed.
Right.
So she can only bring a dead pig in to butcher.
Yes, if the animal had already been dispatched and brought in, there's no prohibition in ordinance or state law from butchering it or cleaning it on your property. Be the same as somebody bringing fish back and cleaning them in
Right.
their yard.
It just has to be dead.
Yes.
So no pigs are gonna be squealing, right?
Right. That's what,
Should
I
not
think
harm.
that's what
Okay.
they're calling abuse, cause, you know, I have hog hunted, I have years and years ago, and a lot of times when you kill a hog, they squeal.
Yes, sir, and that's what happened. It did
Yeah.
squeal when my husband stabbed it, so.
Yeah, and it does sound terrible.
It,
You
I
have
mean,
a-
it does sound terrible,
yeah.
but that's the way my children are eating as well.
Yeah, right, I understand. You hadn't lost any hogs around there, have you?
I'm sorry?
I said, have you lost any of your hogs around there this morning? I live on Marlowe, not far from you. And across the street from my house, there's a big vacant area.
Mhm.
There was a wild hog out there rooting this morning.
Oh, no, sir, the only hogs we had in there were the two baby shoals. and
No,
they're
it's
actually
about,
gone.
probably a 50-pound hog.
Oh, no, sir. The last big hog we had there is the one pictured, and
Yeah.
we actually butchered
It
her,
was,
so.
it was surprising. I've seen turkeys there, but this morning's the first time I've seen.
Oh, they will go some places, that's for sure.
Yeah, but there's woods all at the end of Marlowe.
Oh, yes, sir. I know what you're talking about.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
I don't see any further business from the audience, Kathy, unless someone came up.
No, sir.
City attorney's business, looks like you have nothing.
That's correct.
Very good, sir. And city administrator's business, anything you'd like to share with us this evening? City clerk's business and announcements. Kathy, I think we need to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have any comments about us paying the bills? If not,
Can I pay mine?
let's take a vote.
Vote. Carlisle.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Stewart.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes, with that, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for being here.